Detroit, Motor City, once the industrial capital of the USA, is also Detroit Rock City, home to some of rock's greatest sonic outbursts. As well as producing the pop music dynasty of Motown, Detroit has nurtured some of the loudest and most outspoken musical icons in the last 30 years. From Ted Nugent to Eminem, it has also fostered some of the most uncompromisingly individual noisemakers ever, including MC5 and the Stooges. More recently, Detroit has given the world the bona fide champion of white boy hip-hop and trailer trash rock. Erstwhile legendary cult hero Kid Rock has been assaulting the underground for almost a decade now, using a combination of samples, beats, and live band jams to create a hard-hitting sound that is both danceable and moshable. He is the one and only pimp of the nation, the bull god himself, a 10-year overnight success story and a man who has always been streets ahead of the pack, whose groundbreaking fusion of rap, heavy metal and southern rock laid the foundations for the hip-hop, hard rock hybrid played by bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit. Kid Rock was born Bob Ritchie, and Bob Ritchie was raised in the small Detroit suburb of Romeo. Romeo was a predominantly white suburb where the kid spent his time listening to lots of FM radio rock, and at the same time taking note of the badass beats emerging from the urban underground. By his early teens, he was spending a lot of time hanging out in the nearby Mount Clement housing projects, soaking up large amounts of hip-hop, from the freaked-out techno-throb of acts like Houdini and the old-school hardcore of Run DMC.
Did you have a role model growing up? Somebody that you sort of looked at and idolized or wanted to be like, whether it was in music or sports or anything like that?
No, not really. It's probably just a bunch of different people, a bunch of different music that I listen to.
Do you think of yourself as a role model for kids?
In a sense. I mean, I don't preach. I think more maybe after they listen to the music and stuff, you know, realize there's nothing positive there, that maybe they see how I live my life, and, you know, and then they can maybe find something positive in that or something not positive, but it's all real, whatever it is, and I'm just myself, so they can take that away from it. At least that's something.
How do you live your life? In what way do you think? That just in terms of hard work?
Oh, yeah, I work my ass off, and then I party my dick off. So it kind of goes hand in hand, you know.
How do you manage to do both? I mean, doesn't one suffer?
I think it's just like everybody else. You work, you know, 5 days, and then you have the weekend off. That's usually how it happens. That's typical. And it's just my weekends are a lot longer than most people's, but my work days are a lot longer too, so.
You don't work 5 days. Don't you work 7 days now with this record exploding like this?
Oh, yeah, I work all the time. But, you know, you can't really, I don't really call this work either. It's not like I'm out here digging ditches or something, you know.
Did you have some weird jobs before you started doing this, or to support yourself doing this, or
not
were
really.
you making?
Picked apples for a while when I was young. I grew up in an apple orchard. Portered cars in Manhattan at Manhattan Ford for, I don't know, 7, 8 months. And I never really had the whole down. I got a record deal with Jive when I was like 18, so I pretty much did music all the time. That's what I always did.
Your first indie record sold how many copies?
First record with Jive, I don't know what that's at, couple 100,000 copies. And then my real independent releases out of my basement, which I was just selling in Detroit, I was selling like 15,000 of those at a time.
Do you think you were very driven?
I was totally driven.
I mean, were you good in school, or you just had this kind of like desire to do this because you loved music?
Yeah, I just figured out what I wanted to do at a young age, so it's not that I didn't care about school, but I just realized there was nothing there for me. You know, teachers would look at me and ask me what my problem was, and I'd just tell them, like, you're not showing me anything that's in any way at all useful in my life. I know how to communicate, I have a good sense of street smarts, and I know how to count money. And other than that, it's all about, you know, focusing on my talent. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was just not a good vocational school for rock and roll. You know, chorus class, go in there and, you know, learn how to pitch up to an E off a piano with some lady, you know, on a xylophone. You're like, no.
At what point did you know you were talented? Did you start entertaining people?
I don't know, 'cause my mom used to dress me up when I was young in little cowboy suits and stuff and have me come out to they'd have keg parties in the barn, have me come out and like pantomime or sing to like.
You're kidding, really? Like John Benet Ramsey? I mean, that kind of shtick? Like,
Not really like that. It was more though that they were just drunk and like, you know, they could get away with it by dressing me up and bring me out to like jump around the barn.
and you liked it? You didn't?
Yeah, I thought it was
off.
fun.
Really?
It wasn't like an everyday thing, like they're going to enter me in talent contests and stuff. It was just like, hey, you know, Bobby will do it. Go wake him up. You know, he'll come up here and jump around.
But you come from a fairly respectable family, right? This whole sort of trailer trash thing isn't really...
Yeah, no, middle class, dysfunctional family. Like everybody
Dysfunctional
else.
how?
As everybody's a kook. My parents are married. They live in separate houses. My brother's a drug addict for a lot of years. My sisters are always like, got this and that going on. I don't know if I should get into it. I mean, everyone's normal and cool. It's just, you know, it's
Like any other American
like anything,
family.
yeah. Nothing crazy, no hard love story or nothing.
Oh yeah, we had the Stones and the Beatles in the house, the Who and AC/DC and Zeppelin, right? All that stuff. Yeah. That's why I think it's a shame that now in like in London or whatever in the UK that it's all this boy band shit. Hopefully I can straighten that out a little bit, you know, bring some real rock and roll. Because a lot of that stuff to me, like the Stones and the Beatles and the Who, was what they really were trying to do, and what they did very well was, you know, kind of do what that southern rock, that southern blues type of thing, like Leonard Skinner, Marshall Tucker, and they were excellent at it. And I don't think that's been apparent over here in a long time, and that's what I do. You know, I do mix it with a little bit of hip hop and some of the stuff that's going on nowadays, but musically it's the same blues influence. Yeah. Dance music is cool if you're in a corner in a club on ecstasy, you know, hanging out. So dance music's all right, but not to be bumping around all day on TV, you know, like it's terrible. There's no scars, there's no feel, there's no heart. In that sense, you know, the Beatles or the Stones or the Who or AC/DC, Zeppelin, any of that stuff, you know, I haven't really... Yeah. You know, Oasis, I like some, you know, but that's essentially the Beatles, so of course it's going to be good. But it's just kind of funny, that, you know, you see them running around America spitting on cameras and like that whole British attitude, which I think is, I respect, because, you know, you should be who you are, and if that's the way they act, then, you know, don't change it up when you go somewhere. Yeah. At the same time, though, running around with Kangol hats and spitting on people in America, get your ass kicked real fast.
He became a member of a local breakdancing crew known as the Furious Funkers, leading eventually to stints behind the turntables while still in high school. The kid, who grew up listening to Johnny Cash and Leonard Skinner, developed a love of rap and had a natural ability to effortlessly merge Midwestern white boy, vaguely redneck rock with the sounds of the hip-hop pioneers. From the age of 15, he was attending every rap show he could. The music and the attitude grabbed him every bit as much as the sound of young Elvis might have done had he been born over a generation earlier. He could grab the turntables, sing, rap, throw some rock and guitar over the beats, and do a backflip on stage.
Some of the stuff that's happened has gotten so safe and poppy and predictable
Right.
and bland, and just the way that MTV embraced you, I think obviously there's a need for this, no? I mean, I was missing something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was definitely a combination of good timing. Everything that's happened, there's no doubt about it. And I said it years ago. I mean, you could probably dig up articles somewhere that said, you know, this rock rap thing was starting to come into play a few years back. And right at the beginning of it, I realized I didn't want to pioneer it, because all the pioneers I've ever known never made any money. So I was like, cool. I went back and made more of a alternative hip hop record for when everyone started doing this rap rock thing. Even though I had already done the rap rock thing 2 years before that, in '93, I did it. You know, and I did it on my first record in 1990. And it really started to become popular, and I was watching these kids do it, you know, bands like 311 and other people, and I was like, you know, they made some good stuff, but I was like, they don't get it. I'm like, they don't have a clue.
What about the Beasties?
Yeah, the Beasties are great. Obviously, they're a huge influence, but they weren't just doing that rock rap thing. They were doing a lot of straight hip-hop stuff, too. You know, they just got classified in that whole alternative thing because they're white, like everyone, like I do. You know, I get straight hip-hop songs on there, and sometimes they'll play them on alternative radio. Why? Because I'm white.
Where do you see this going in terms of longevity and in terms of evolving for your own self? Like, do you have ideas of down the line, several records, where you want to take this? Are you worried about getting put into a little niche that then becomes unfashionable?
No, that's why I was happy to make this record that we made, because I don't think I can get grouped into something like that, because the record's all over the place. You know, it would have been so easy for me to make a rap rock record, just a straight, you know, like metal, rock, whatever they call it. record, that would have been pie, or just to make a straight hip-hop record, but that's not me. Everything else, you know, the southern rock and the blues influences and the country influences and the metal and the rap and the rock, everything, that's what I love. That's all the types of music I'm into. So I think if I just always keep making the type of music that I like, it won't get dated in that sense, because, you know, I think maybe this metal rap thing could be a fad. I think it could, maybe, you know, it's like the whole swing thing, you know, it's like, how didn't people see that coming like a freight train? It was like, here comes swing, you know, right by. Yeah, same thing with ska, same thing with, like, what is it, techno rock or whatever that crap
Electronica.
is? Electronica.
Grunge.
Grunge is cool. I mean, but, you know, you could see it coming and going.
I just think anytime there's guitars, it's cool. I mean, they just keep
Yeah,
coming
it's rock
back
and
with
roll. I
different-
mean, that's, I think, what it is.
Also,
That's bad though when people can put that label on it, like ska, grunge. You know, that's what I've liked this far. People are always like, how do you describe your music again? and they can't really, you know, they hear one song and they can.
Right.
They're ball at the bar, so I'll be like, yeah, it's a metal rap thing. I'll be like, yeah, that's what the whole record is. I'm glad you listened to it.
After a little while, he had developed a rare brand of streetwise rap that took in elements of psychedelic rock, funk, jazz, country, and a whole host of other influences. He earned his name scratching and spinning at nightly subterranean basement parties where local hip-hoppers would gather to watch the white kid rock.
So I'd take my turntables and I'd leave, and I didn't really have any place to go except down the hood, where I was known as a DJ and stuff, because I couldn't stay with my white friends because, you know, their parents would be like, you can't stay here. Yeah. But, you know, down there, I was like, yeah, come on, come stay. So I would stay down there for, 3-4 months at a time, but I wouldn't have any money or anything, so I would work at a car wash, I would DJ parties, and then, just to make extra money, I would sell crack a little bit. I was not a big-time crack dealer. I don't really glorify a lot of that stuff in my songs, because I would glorify more of doing it than actually being a part of sound or whatever, because when you see it, when you're there firsthand and you see all this shit go down, it's not that fun. Yeah. It's not fun. It's funny to talk about waving guns around, all that shit, but when you actually have one pointed at you, it's not funny anymore. You realize when you see a friend get shot or something, it's really scary. I remember my good friend Dada got killed. People just drove by the house, shot through a window. Boom. He got caught one in the chest. Done. It was my best friends, I was living with 2 guys, and they were my best friends, and their mom, like, a professional hit was done on her by some mob shit, and they found her in a garage in Detroit with her head and her right arm cut off, like shit like that. I was just like, fucked up. I was really good. I was a very good DJ. I still am. At a young age, all the tricks with my elbows and my chin and under my legs, so I was just, the little white kid that could rock the turntables. That's how everybody knew me.
That's the name.
Yeah, hence the name. Nobody fucked with me. It was just, everybody was real cool. And no problems at all. Still hang out in the same spots, Mount Clemens, all over, have barbecues and park parties and stuff. So, it was a good time. I learned a lot of stuff down there. I mean, they're not going to get anything out of the lyrics, really. I mean, some songs they might only God knows why or something like that, but other than that, it's not. I don't mix any politics in with my music. I think it's just blue-collar, working class, work hard. Like I work hard and then I party hard. I just party harder than a lot of people because I have a lot more opportunities to. Yeah. Anybody else would do the same thing. It's blue collars. Like you work in a factory all week. When you get the weekend, people want to go fucking get fucked up. Yeah, I'm sure it's all over the world. So I think in a sense, people, kids might just look up to me as, he worked hard and did the impossible. Yeah. Coming from this little cornfield fucking town in Michigan, working his way up to be, biggest thing in America. They can look up to that and find some, but it's really, that's not my focus. My main focus is just to entertain people. I'm not trying to, some kids aren't going to take away anything positive unless they get to sit down and talk to me or get to really get to know me, read about me a lot and see things. Yeah. Other than that, they're not going to, at first glance and at first listen, it's going to be like, oh, that's the fucking devil. Don't listen to that shit. Yeah. You're going to go to hell.
He had no problem duplicating the sound of his rap metal explosions in a studio, and by 1998 he was laying down demo tracks which led to his discovery by D Nice of Boogie Down Productions, and the offer of an opening act slot on the Boogie Down Productions show. He created interest immediately, and by 1989 he had been signed by New York-based Jive Records, who financed a debut album produced by Rock himself, D Nice, and West Coast rap luminary Too Short. Grit Sandwiches for Breakfast was released in 1990, and although it contained such gems as Yodelin in the Valley, Pimp of the Nation, and the ultra-funky Wax the Booty, sales were disappointing. Part of the problem was that Jive were in search of a great white hope and wanted to create another Vanilla Ice. Kid Rock was not a great choice to fill that role. Rather than creating an Ice Ice baby, he produced an album with a mix of guitar-laced old-school hip-hop and 2 live crew-style sex jams, awesome and foul-mouthed, a world away from the other blue-eyed rappers. When Yodelin in the Valley was released as a single, Rock gained a good deal of notoriety after a New York college radio station was taken to task for playing the track. The song was judged obscene, indecent and profane, and resulted in the largest ever government fine to be levelled at a college radio station, $23,750. Although the fine was eventually dropped, the whole incident upped Kid Rock's street cred, and he found himself the opener for one of rap's last great tours, the hugely successful 20-city tour that saw him performing with Ice Cube, Yo-Yo, Too Short and others. The tour helped build up a national following of sex-crazed, beer-drinking teens who loved his rebellious stance and funky music. At the end of his travels, Rock decided to uproot from Detroit and relocate in New York City.
Do you think people don't get your humor a lot? Because you are pretty funny. I mean, even that, the EPK we were talking about is a riot. I mean, there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek, very funny stuff,
Yeah.
and you totally deadpan, and you know, you must have been asked everything in interviews, and at this point, it's just, you could just be putting people on too, which is cool.
Right.
But do you think people don't get the humor sometimes in the lyrics and that they're offended by the profanity?
Man, the profanity hasn't been that big of a problem, this record, and I don't anticipate it being that big of a deal in the future, man. It seems like people are just starting to lighten up a lot. And it's the same thing when back in the day, you know, Elvis was supposed to shake his hips, and now you can walk out there in your underwear and sing. People are coming around and realizing that's not the end of the world.
Why do you
Because
think?
someone says fuck on a record or suck my dick, that, you know, everyone shouldn't go, oh, you can't listen to that.
You have a sticker on your record?
Yeah, I think, yeah, a sticker on it,
I
yeah.
think it just makes kids want to buy it more.
It
No?
does make them. I don't know. It doesn't even have any effect anymore, except in maybe some stores where a 12-year-old might come in and the clerk won't sell it to him. That's all right.
Well, when you were growing up, there must have been places like Kmart and stuff like that were the only places where you could buy a record, right?
All
If they didn't have other record stores in your area, so in a way you would want to get your records in those stores, no? I'm not saying you can
Kinda.
change the lyrics, but it's a drag that you can't sell them there.
Right. Well, that's why we do a clean version, and the clean version's even like more funny than the dirty version. 'Cause
Why,
it's just
just
all
lipped
beat
out?
out, you know. Woo! You know, it's beep, all that stuff. So.
You got to make it so that it rhymes or the rhythm is cool,
Right, it's
so
like,
the beat.
like going A, C, D, E, F. It's like, what'd you miss? You know it's B. You know, hey, you. It's like, what word was there?
What do you feel about the whole climate in the country with the government now starting to tell people in the arts that they've got to tone down stuff that they're doing, whether it's about violence, profanity, whatever? I mean, I think that's bordering pretty close to censorship. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so removed from government shit.
But it doesn't affect your work as an artist or as a performer or as a musician. Like Marilyn Manson,
I'm
a lot
sure.
of their concerts were banned. That hasn't happened to you?
No. I mean, I don't have that type of shtick either. I mean,
Right.
I say some stuff, yeah, you know, white trash, double without a cause, stuff like that, and Pimp of the Nation, and it's more of just a thing, you know. It's not something that I try to, like, make kids see, like, this is how I live and this is me. I mean, I don't know what Marilyn Manson's deal is. I like some of his stuff, but he does got a pretty hefty shtick there going that he, like, lives up to. That, you know, obviously it's going to be hard one day, and then when shit comes down, people are going to point the finger at you. It's just like anything else, you know. If you're a tough guy, people are always going to want to take a shot at you.
He parted company with Jive, and his follow-up album, The Polyfuse Method, was eventually released in 1992 through indie label Continuum. It was an explosive fusion, and the Village Voice declared that it joined rap and metal with love for both and reverence for neither. The record was highly acclaimed. Considered a true hip-hop classic by many in the know, but difficult to get hold of. Kicking off with Killing Brain Cells, it was an acid-drenched funk metal rap extravaganza full of headbanging beats, multi-syllabic flows, and an expletive-crazed outrageousness that gave full rein to his white trash humour and b-boy attitude. Polyfuse Method included another dirty anthem, the Howard Stern-sampled Balls in Your Mouth, which earned more headlines and fines after airplay, but it also demonstrated Kid Rock's growing musicality. As well as developing his rap meets rock balladry, there were unexpected samples such as The Doors' Soul Kitchen. There was even a surprisingly mature and poignant straight-faced rap about his estranged father, My Oedipus Complex. There was more metallic rap riffage on the 1994 EP titled Fire It Up, but his small indie label could do little to promote sales with that release either, and after a couple of years touring and demoing new tracks, Rock eventually decided to quit New York and head back to home turf.
I just spend time with my son. I don't really have time when I'm home. All I do is record. I mean, we record 24/7. Even when we tour, we have 3 buses, and one of them is customized for a studio. Right. So we're recording. I have an engineer that I have on the payroll that's with me all the time. He's working right now in America. You know, and I call him up and send out mixes and stuff. So always working. And then when I get time off, I just spend it with my friends and my son. Yeah. There's just nowhere I really want to go after I got a bunch of money. I'm thinking like, man, I can vacation anywhere I want in the world. I'm like, where do you want to go? I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home. That's all I wanted to do. When we're not in my basement and we're at this little place called the Voodoo Lounge, which is in Mount Clemens, Michigan. It's just this little shit bar that, you know, just us and our friends go to. And my DJ, Matt, he just bought a bar, actually, that his brother runs. That's called Sonny's. So I always go to Sonny's or a place Motor Lounge in Detroit, which is kind of a hip club. If you want to go out and get, you know, swarm, hang out and get crazy, you know, go to Motor Lounge. They tell me I had a good time. So that was good, just to watch the whole thing build. You know, I've watched it build for 10 years, but to actually have people say things and then see them come true is something new. Yeah. They say, we're going to get your video on MTV, and then it happens. They say, you know, you're going to sell, you know, 100,000 records in 1 week, and then it happens. And then, you know, just things like that. It's cool. And, you know, we really did it right. We built it from the ground up. We just went out and played shows and kept banging and just we've proven it time and time again. Yeah. And I think that's what we got to do over here. So, yeah. Well, it sucks at the same time being the biggest rock star in America right now, coming over here, no one knowing you. Still, it's all right.
Back in Detroit in 1996, his first course of action was to form his own label, Top Dog Records, and set about recording and releasing his third full-length album, which expanded on the themes and ideas of Polyfuse. Early Morning Stone Pimp dropped the samples and concentrated on a more organic music making, drums, guitar, bass and scratches, with influences ranging from Curtis Mayfield and G-Funk through to hard-edged southern rock. He had help from Black Crowes keyboardist Eddie Harsh and the sultry vocal skills of alternative soul diva Thornetta Davis. Tracks like Where You At Rock featured plenty of heavy guitar, while others like Paid were almost straight hip-hop. I Wanna Go Back discussed his trials with jive and attitudes he faced starting out in the rap world, while Black Chick, White Guy is a soulful, moving love story.
One more thing about Detroit. You've stayed there. The last time I was there, I don't know, it was maybe 10 years ago, it seemed like the whole place was evacuated. And now it seems like there's a new resurgence of some rock and roll energy. Why does it always come back to Detroit? I mean, you do that MC5 song in your set. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a heritage of that stuff there.
I don't know. I was always proud to be from Detroit, and that's, I don't know why. That's just maybe the way I was raised. You know, everybody there works in the car business. You know, my dad did. All my people in my band, their parents did. You know, and either in the factories, and my dad had a car dealership, whatever. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or you know, Bob Seger, Ted Nugent, MC5, Iggy, the Stooges, you know, P-Funk, any of that, Motown.
Grand Funk?
Grand Funk from Flint. I don't know. It's just I was never, you know, it's even funny, too, because people say, like, you know, like on the Tonight Show the other night we did that, and at the end of the show I said, you know, Detroit, you know, and then we ended the song. You know, and everyone, and, you know, of course everyone in the bars in Detroit, because they were having, like, that was, I don't know if they do this all over when people go on the Tonight Show, but that was cool. Like back in our hometown, like, you know, people had it on their, out front of their bars, like tonight, you know, Kid Rock on the Tonight Show, you know, everyone goes up there and gathers around, you know, and then when you come on TV, you know, everyone's drunk by the time you come on, then you come on, and so you just throw that little Detroit in the end, you know, I heard word back from the bar, they're just like, ah, and, you know, you do it for the hometown. It's like, I guess being part of a sports team or a gang or mafia or a
Well, it's
frat or
Yeah,
something.
it's civic pride. Also, I mean, they honestly haven't had a whole lot of stars and heroes there for a while, so
Right.
it kind of makes everybody else feel like they're part of something, don't
Right.
you think? I mean, that's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
And when you walk around or go out there
Oh,
or
yeah.
hang out, do you mow your own lawn, by the way? You said you got a lawnmower. I was just curious.
No, I
You do?
used to. I can't anymore because I don't have time.
How much
it's-
time do you not have, actually? I mean, you're really
Mhm.
working 24/7
None.
constantly.
As soon as you get some time, it's like taken away the next day. And I can't complain. I wanted all this
Right.
stuff. But it does get a little out of hand sometimes because everything's important. You got to do each thing. And then, when things break like they have for me, you look back at it and everyone says, that's why things broke, because you worked so hard and you did
Right.
every little thing. So then you get scared and you start thinking, like, as you get bigger, if I don't do all those little things and every single little thing, that maybe I'll start to decline. So then you're just like burning it at both ends. And you don't have any time. Like, that sucked. I just bought that car. I drove for, I got to drive it for a day, and I won't be able to drive it for, 6 weeks now because I'll be on the road and stuff. That's all I wanted to do was just spend a week, like, driving around with my car, like, hanging out with my friends and stuff.
Have it come in a truck with you on the road. You can afford it.
It's not the same, though, as hanging out with your friends and, going to all your favorite spots and stuff.
Where are your favorite spots? Oh, you don't want to say. Well,
So I'd like to go out to Mount Clemens and see old friends and stuff, or go out to the beach and just drive around anywhere. Go downtown, Belle Isle, or just cruise around where I live now, Royal Oak, or wherever. Just pick up your friends and go hang out.
what about girlfriends? Does it get harder to have a steady relationship now that all this stuff is happening?
Oh, it's impossible. It's impossible.
But you're not really
It's not impossible to have a relationship. It's impossible for me anyway to have time for a relationship, be faithful in a relationship, all that stuff, to make it work. So I'm just gonna stay away from it, I don't hurt people, I don't hurt girls, to treat them mean or anything, even when I'm with them or whatever. I'm just, that's just kind of how it is right now. It's fun for me, and hopefully it's fun for them, and nobody gets hurt, and it's not a big deal, and don't gotta call every 10 minutes and stuff like, hey, you call me. I don't know. For me, I can't have a girlfriend right now.
People are angry if you're not calling them every 10 minutes?
Oh yeah. It's the same thing, Oh, you got too big. You don't have time for me anymore. You're like, I don't even have time for myself anymore. And I never understood either, because you think of it as like, how hard is it to sign one autograph? How much time does it take to pick up the phone and call someone for 5 minutes? Not a lot of time at all, but times that by about 1,000 people. And each one of those 1,000 people is just as important. It's just now that you've made it, everyone wants to talk to you, which you can understand. I would want to talk to somebody in that position, and, hey, remember me? And, you don't really forget anybody. You just don't have time to talk to them all the time anymore. And that's kind of fucked up because they can't understand because they're not in that position, and there's just nothing you can do.
Also, it's not that you changed. It's
Right.
just that people
Totally.
around you don't
Right.
get... How's your family about all this, though? Are they proud of you now?
Oh, yeah.
Were they into this in the beginning?
No.
No.
Fuck no. My dad
I don't think it's a good career.
apologized to me after the last
Did he
show.
really?
That's right, yeah.
What'd he say?
He was almost breaking down like, I'm sorry, man, I was totally wrong. I told you not to do any of this shit and never gave you any help at all, blah, 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 proud of you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
That's very cool of
Yeah,
him to be
yeah.
able to do that, though.
Yeah, it was really cool of him.
Early Morning Stone Pimp was an awesome album and eventually garnered enough sales and attention to land Rock a deal with Atlantic and the promise of a new beginning. He was also shaping that new beginning himself. He took out an $8,500 loan and built his own red velvet-lined recording studio, which he christened Temple of the Dog. And within a year, both label and studio were making enough money for him to buy his own house and car. He was also granted full custody of his young son. His personal life was shaping up, and his music was about to skyrocket.
Well, I got a son. He's 6 years old. That keeps me grounded, so I'm on the road and act like a wild ass. Yeah. I go out drinking and partying and doing drugs all the time, but then when I get home, I have to take care of my son, so it grounds me and levels me back off. It's kind of funny. One morning I'll be up at 7:30 and I'll take my son down to elementary school. He's in first grade, so I'll walk him down to school with a couple of the ladies, drinking coffee, pushing strollers. Right. Then I come back and I jump in some limos and I go to New York and rehearse with Aerosmith or something. Yeah. It's kind of weird. He comes home, Dad, I need 3 more pictures. He's taking pictures to school all day. Yeah. I imagine he figured it out. It's funny, he's at day camp. with Grandma. I was on tour this summer for a couple weeks. He went to day camp with Grandma, way out in the middle of nowhere. So he comes back, my mom picks him up from camp one day, and he's got like 5 older kids following him around, doing whatever he says. She's like, what are those older kids doing following around? She's like, did they find out who your daddy was? And he goes, yep. And she goes, well, how do they know? He's like, I told them. She's like, well, why'd you tell them? He's like, because they treat me nice.
Well, why not?
Not too smart for this. Well, he likes everything. He likes to ride his bike and his scooter, and he likes to jump around and sing my songs.
Yeah.
I just let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
I had to take him to see Britney Spears the other night.
All right, how was that?
That sucked.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but I mean, it was kind of funny. He fell asleep during the second song.
Oh.
I'm like, that's my boy. He can't have a girlfriend and do this fucking shit. It's just impossible. Maybe some people can. I can't. I should say I can't. I don't got the will. You know, I mean, you got this girlfriend sitting at home. You know, you get this. You know, and she's at home paying the bills, hanging out, whatever. And you're on tour, and you know, some girl comes up to you and is like, you know, hey, I'll be real discreet about this. I won't tell anyone. I want to take you back to my house and give you head while I read aloud from a 900-year-old book of erotic stories. And you know, then you're like, no thanks, I want to call home and see how my girlfriend's doing, see if she paid the cable bill. You know?
You were married?
No, never married.
You had a kid?
What'd you call me? Did you call me married?
Don't see yourself getting married?
I don't know. It'd be great. I just don't see myself being able to settle down.
But you have a kid?
Yeah.
And you're close with him?
Yeah, custody of my son.
Yeah. But you weren't ever married?
Nope.
Now...
Got the better part of the package. Never married, got the kid. Winner.
What does your kid think about all this?
I really don't know. It's kind of hard to pick his head. I don't really pick his head apart about it. He knows what's going on. He knows the songs. He understands that kids come by and like to get my autograph and stuff like that. And
how old is he?
there was actually an interviewer over, and he's like, you know, what do you think of your dad's stuff? And he's like, I don't know. What's the lunch today?
How old is he?
He's going to be 6 now.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't really know. Has he seen the shows?
Yeah, he comes out to the shows.
I got 3 cars. I got a '67 convertible Continental, old Lincoln Continental, like the car that John F. Kennedy got shot in.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not a limo. It's a little small. It's the biggest car made. It weighs 4,000 pounds. It's all retractable top, you know, black leather. It's all mint. I love that car. I got a '83 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, all pimped out, like big wire spokes.
Yeah.
Gold trim on it and stuff. And then I have my normal cars. I got a Lincoln Navigator, big 4x4 luxury truck. I want to get some more cars, but try to be real smart with my money. It's like any idiot can make $1. It takes a genius to save a penny.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of it away. Obviously, the first few million.
Yeah.
I set up some college funds and did some treasury bond investments and stuff. And right now I'm trying to buy a house, which would be the Rockstar pad, 7,000-foot square home, pool with a waterfall and a pond with a beach and 11 acres. Just stuff like that, you know. I bought a couple cars.
Outside Detroit.
Yeah, outside Detroit. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, and I bought a Navigator, a Lincoln, big utility truck. I bought a really nice '67 Continental.
Right.
A convertible, all white with black leather. I bought some diamonds. That's about it. Really, I just spend money on stupid shit like my friends. You know, I pay for all the drinks at the bar, or the strip joint, or we take vacations, or you know.
Yeah.
And I always pick up the tab. So I just try to spread it around, have fun with it, but at the same time be smart, save some. So when I got my VH1 Behind the Music special, someday I still have some money to show. Besides being a drunk, drugged out old rock star, I can still say, but I got my money still.
Yeah.
A couple guys are married, so. Just a couple of us that really are stupid with it. Me and Jason, my guitar player with orange hair, and my drummer Stephanie. You know, a couple of roadies just get sick with it. We just have fun though, you know. We're not out hurting people. We just like to get fucked up and have a good time.
Yeah.
And we don't like to throw TVs out of hotel windows. We like to fill up the hot tub and put a bunch of naked girls in it. You gotta be careful of ages, so you gotta check IDs. But you know, my sick moral standard is kind of I don't fuck with married women, and I don't fuck with guys' girlfriends. If a girl is backstage and she says I have a boyfriend, I'll be like, go get your boyfriend. You guys can hang out.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's open season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they don't tell you. This one time this chick comes on the bus, and she was hot as hell. She comes backstage after the show, and she's just like, I want to suck your dick. And she was hot. I'm like, all right. You know, what am I gonna say? No. You know what I mean? So we get it on. She ends up coming with me to the next city. Turns out that she's married, and her husband sends the police out looking for her. Do you know she's married? I'm like, no. They're like, well, she is. I'm like, well, so what? She didn't tell me. I was like, she would have told me. I wouldn't. But it ain't my problem. Talk to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He decided to form a regular backing band, a hard rock and roll combo to work behind him while he kicked out the jams with his raps and his deck. Rather than hiring faceless and nameless musicians to back him on the road, he wanted faces who could really play their instruments. He put together Twisted Brown Trucker, consisting of Jason Krause and Kenny Olson on guitars, Jimmy Bones on keyboards, Stephanie Eulenberg on drums, Misty Love and Shirley Hayden on backing vocals, pint-sized rapper Joe C, and DJ Cracker.
Talk to me a little bit about Joe C. What's the deal with that?
With Joe C.
Yeah, you found him singing your songs in the show or something? You thought
Yeah,
he
he
was
used
a
to come to
kid?
my concerts in Detroit.
Right.
I thought he was a kid. I'd hand him the mic. I'd be like, wow, that's twisted. Somebody brought a little kid to one of my shows. It's not exactly a family-oriented event. So he was singing my lyrics. I'm like, wow, that's fucked up. I'm like, this little kid's out there, like, singing all my lyrics. So he comes, one show finally came backstage. He weaseled his way backstage. Joe C., I don't know if you know, but he's like a professional celebrity stalker. He's the best. Comes backstage like, Rack, what's up? Want to smoke a joint?
Who else was he stalking?
No, he's just good at it. Like, you know, we just got back from those MTV Movie Awards. He worked the whole room in like an hour.
I know, I saw him talking to Will Smith. It was
Everybody,
awesome.
Will
I know.
Smith, Chris Tucker. What's up, man? It's Joe C. What's up? Bring Kid Rock, huh? Hi, dude. He's funny, and then from there, he just I'd bring him to the shows, and I'd put him on the stage, and he'd be standing there bouncing, and I'd be trying to perform, and I couldn't stop looking at him and be like, wow, I'd like, check this kid out. This is too fucked up. And then I just eventually started writing some rhymes for him, and he had a karaoke machine at home, and I'd make him beats and just tell him to practice rhyming, and gave him a job, and just always kept working with him, trying to develop him, I guess you could say.
And you're gonna have you have a label, and he's gonna make a record on it.
Yeah, my label's Top Dog, and I'm gonna have a release from Joe C. hopefully before the first of the year, and also my DJ Cracker. His project's called Hal Jarvis, and a Twisted Brown Trucker record as well, and maybe a group called Paradigm.
In late 1998, together with Twisted Brown Trucker, he unleashed his hardest, most dynamic, yet most commercially successful album to date, Devil Without a Cause. This was the full motherlode, a raucous cocktail of freestyle rap, spaced-out funk, hip-hop, and liquored-up rock and roll. Bolstered by the hard rhythms and guitar slam of his dubiously named backing band, rock took hardcore and hip-hop and twisted both genres to create a single monster sound. Devil Without a Cause was a unique record, utterly diverse, from the groovy I Got One For You to the country-flavoured cowboy, from power stomps like Somebody's Gotta Feel This to the startling reworking of I Am the Bull God, a track that first appeared on a 1997 reissue of the Polyfuse Method. Critical response was hugely positive, and the head-banging opener Bow It Dabba, which mixed an old-school crowd chant with a screaming axe riff, took the radio and MTV Nation by storm. Suddenly, his Rage Against the Machine-style hard rap with mad melodic Alice in Chains-inspired choruses was the sound of the day.
It's pretty all simple though. My music's very simple. I don't get into complicated chords, complicated melody, complicated off-time signature stuff. It's all straightforward. It's simple.
Yeah.
A lot of simple stuff put together to make something very complex and very, ear candy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But still credible with the lyrics, I don't get up and dance around, like a little boy and sing about how much I love you. It's not me. This is kind of funny when you can see girls who come up shaking and cry, and that's like, you don't even know how to act. It's like, settle down.
Yeah.
What are you jumping around screaming about? But, no, everybody, man, the fans been really cool. There's no one, everything's good. No problems at all. Because I got no problem with, someone comes up, I'll be eating and they want an autograph. I don't get all pissed off. I'm like, no problem,
Yeah.
It comes with the territory, so you can't work your whole life to gain fame and notoriety and have people enjoy your music and then run from it.
Yeah.
So I just try to embrace it, and it goes with the territory. If I don't want to be bothered, I don't go out. And if I go out, I know I'm going to be bothered, so it's just the nature of the game. Besides, having people like your music and getting money and all the normal stuff, I think it's just been meeting a lot of new people, meeting a lot of really cool people. The whole starstruck thing, just meeting a lot of your idols and hanging out with different big names. Like Hank Williams Jr., manager, called last week and asked me to be in a new video. So, like Leonard Skinner, they've called and said, what's up, and they like me. Want to do some pictures with me or something, and Metallica became good friends with them, and it's just weird stuff happens. I'll be hanging out with Puffy all the time. Me and Puff Daddy hang out whenever we get a chance. We'll just be kicking it, and then like the other night it was weird in New York before those video awards, sitting in my hotel with Lars from Metallica, me, him, and his wife. We're just having some drinks, kicking it. And then all of a sudden, Lars like, my buddy Sean's gonna come up and hang out with us. So Sean Penn shows up.
Right.
And then Sean Penn's like, my buddy Tim's gonna come out and hang out. So Tim Robbins shows up. So I was just sitting there drinking, having a good time. So I like stuff like that. Just, it's kind of crazy, kind of cool. Meet different people. But I like hanging out with my friends the most. I performed with Run DMC a few times before that, like in New York. I invited them out to play with me, and they were down with it. So. And I tried to get him to play with me at Woodstock, but actually he's a reverend now. He was marrying Tretch from Naughty by Nature and Salt from Salt and Pepper that day, so I couldn't play with us. So when the video awards came up, they were like, we'd like to have Kid Rock perform, but we want to do something different. Maybe you could have some people play with him. So I put out a couple calls to, Aerosmith and Run DMC were my first choice, and they both said yes. I know Joe Perry said his kid was a big fan of my stuff and everything, so I'm sure that helped. And that was it. We got together, rehearsed, and did it, and it was great. No, that's the weirdest thing. I was like, I haven't changed at all. I still like to drink Budweiser and eat Big Macs, but a lot of people that are close to me have changed.
Really?
They don't know how to treat me. They act different all the time, but, obviously some things change. I have more money. I can take care of the people around me. I can buy nicer things. But other than that, I still like to hang out at the same shitty bars and eat the same shitty food and drink the same shitty beer.
In the wake of the album's release, Rock took his band out on the road. The impact of the record, together with an impressive live presentation, guitars and decks and drums all pounding beats, keyboard virtuosity, explosions, midgets, strippers, pimp suits, and the kid orchestrating the whole circus, made them suddenly a major act.
I was talking a little bit about this to you at the MTV Movie Awards. I was watching Marilyn Manson, watching you perform, and it was interesting to me because all of a sudden he just looked dated. It looked like he was wearing some kind of clown suit, and you were just getting up there with a lot of energy. But it's show business, isn't it? Still, in a way, what you're doing, it's entertainment. It's not too serious.
It's always entertainment, but I take the talent part very serious. I think that's maybe where people, if anyone was to even feel threatened by me, I'm not saying they are, but if they were, I think that's what would threaten them. It's not my hat. It's not anything else but just the raw talent that's put into it out there, and people realize they can't do that. They haven't worked hard enough all those years like I have. Like, I'm not worried about anybody. I've worked so hard for so many years, and I know what I'm good at. And there's not really anybody that I think that can come out there and threaten me on the stage.
If you had to encapsulate it, what would you think you're best at? What is it? Rhyming, music, performing?
Probably just rhyming, and I think I got good ears. I can hear something that sounds good. I can put it together so it sounds good. I know what I like to hear. I know what people want to hear. And I've seen a lot of people that are very talented. I tell a lot of people all the time, a little joke with them is, like, I know some really good engineers and producers and stuff, and they're great at all their technicalities, and, they're unbelievable at a lot of different angles, but I tell them, like, motherfucker, I'm like, you couldn't pick a hit off Michael Jackson Thriller. Like, it's just like when you go, someone's like, it's just frustrating. Sometimes you'll see somebody that's got a great band. You'll be like, give me two of the best songs so I can send it to my guy, see if we can hook something up for this band. And you hear these 10 songs, you tell them to put that one and that one on, and then they send it back to you, and they're like, oh, these 2 songs are better. And you listen to them, and you're like, what the fuck are you listening to? What did you hear in those songs? I just don't know. Sometimes people's ears just, I think I got good ears. I think that's my best talent.
They could soon sell out fair-sized Midwestern venues, like the State Theatre in Detroit, by themselves. They also toured with Limp Bizkit and went on to make a successful main stage debut at Woodstock '99. Kid Rock's tunes were soon being heard all over, featured on MTV's Beach House and even ABC's Wide World of Sports. By August 1999, Devil Without a Cause was certified double platinum status and Kid Rock was a star. One of the most astounding things about the full-on phenomena created by Devil Without a Cause was that Kid Rock expended very little energy on making it. He had picked up the habit of blending sounds and styles as a teenager, and despite years of little real commercial success, he had refused to ever give the habit up. His ingenious cut-and-paste studio techniques could now seamlessly merge hip-hop production to a rock foundation, and his years of playing meant he could achieve this almost effortlessly. Most of Devil Without a Cause was recorded in little over a week, following prompting from several record executives and a reminder that a deadline was looming. Only God Knows Why, for example, was originally conceived by Rock in a Mount Clemens drunk tank following excessive celebration of the signing of his Atlantic contract. The version on the album was written, produced, played, and recorded by the Kid in only 3 hours. It took most of the rest of the world 10 years to catch up with the kind of music Kid Rock was playing, and he was mostly unfazed by what people saw as his sudden success. Having finally won over America, his next task is to take over the rest of the world, country by country, starting with Europe.
No, I don't know what to expect. It's kind of like all I can do is the same thing we did in America, is just start it from ground level and build it, without anything, just come over as a band and play and see if people like it. And if they like it, I'll keep coming back, and if not, that's cool too, I figure I'd give it a chance. A lot of bands in America don't want to come over here because it's too far.
Yeah.
They don't like the food, whatever it is, there's not enough money, you get a lower royalty rate on your records over here. But, I've talked to bands like Metallica and stuff, and they said, the European crowds are some of the best crowds in the world, so I want to experience that too. So I'll give it a chance, try it. And I'm not scared to work, so I'll come over here and work and see if people dig it. If they dig it, I'll keep coming back. Knock Europe out, then we go home, we get about 7 days off, we start the big North American tour. Headlining, 5,000 to 10,000 seats a night.
Yeah.
All the pyro and the hydraulic lifts and the big stage show. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. And then after that, we'll get Christmas off, and we play about 6-7 shows with Metallica. Then I'll probably either come back here or start working on some new music. If things blow up over here, I'll come back and play again, then start working on the record, and if people don't want to hear shit from me over here, I'll stay home and record.
As well as aiming for global domination in the next century, he is planning to unleash other people's music through his own label, Lava. Twisted Brown Trucker and Joe C will be releasing albums, as well as Cracker, another Detroit rapper who the Kid has high hopes for. The Twisted Brown Trucker album will feature music from the band and, hopefully, guest rappers such as Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit and Run DMC.
I've had my record label Top Dog for about 10 years now, and I started it up and I studied the Def Jams and Delicious Vinyls and Rap A Lot, Luke Skywalker Records, all the independent labels, and actually become friends with like Rick Rubin and some other people and learned a lot from them, Russell Simmons, whoever. And so now I want to take my label and, everybody that gets a bit of success in America has a record label. Yeah. And they all flop. You know what I mean? Because just they think they have a hit record, they think they know all music. Yeah. So I don't want to pretend that I do know that, but I know I have a lot of talent on the production side, and I got great ears, and the few projects that I have coming out next year I think are going to do very well. Like my DJ Cracker, his record's coming out, which is going to be really good. His record's going to be a riot. It's just going to be, Joe C. It's 3'9" high, and this kid, it's going to be just fun to make, fun to listen to. So that's a no-brainer. That's easy. Yeah. Cracker's record's really good. Cracker helps me write a lot of lyrics. He wrote a lot of stuff on Devil Without a Cause. He's a phenomenal songwriter. So his record's going to be really good. It's more of a kind of like an Everlast thing in a sense, but not really. It's more of a deep-rooted blues thing with some beats going, and lyrics are a lot deeper. Yeah. Melodies are a lot stronger. I don't like any of that shock stuff, like makeup and like, this is crazy. Like, you're not that nuts, I don't mind it, Kiss is cool because they actually have songs. Yeah. Alice Cooper actually had songs. You know what I mean? But all these other bands coming out now, they don't have any songs. Yeah, it's gimmick. It's all gimmick, man. I hate gimmick shit. Yeah. I have gimmicks flying left and right, so I don't want to contradict myself, but I think if people see it and listen to it, they see the talent in it. Yeah. It's much more than that. But Twisted Brown Trucker, my band, their album's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be I have 2 independent records that are going to come out around Christmas too that I own the rights to, that I licensed to Atlantic, Early Morning Stone, Pimp,
Right, yeah.
and Polyfuse Method. Those are getting revamped now. We're trying to clear samples and stuff. We'll bring, which is some of the best investments I ever made doing that stuff. You know? Even the Polyfuse Method, I didn't own the rights to it when I got my record deal. I think I paid about $40,000 to get the rights back to it.
Right.
You know, I just sold it for millions of dollars. Works
Good
out
move,
good.
good
Yeah.
move.
You got to be on top of the business.
Are you living out your dreams now? These sort of rock and roll dreams
Yeah.
with, whether it's girls,
Mhm.
parties, fun, all of this, it's all coming out of the woodwork? Cell phone ringing all the time, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it hit me the other day when I just bought a '67 convertible Lincoln Continental, a mint one, which I always wanted. I never really bought myself any toys. I bought a house. I got a lot of tangible stuff, but there's always stuff for the kid, or a house, computer to keep the business going, lawnmower, stuff that I needed to get by, and finally started buying myself some toys, watches and stuff that I could afford after I put away some money and, set up the college fund for the kid and all that. I bought a '67 convertible Continental, and I'm driving down after I picked it up, and on the radio comes Ball with the Boss. I'm sitting there in my new car listening to Ball with the Boss, and I did kind of think for a second right through my head. I was like, wow, I've actually accomplished everything that I ever set out to do. Like every goal that I set, like I've actually done it. You sit there when you're little before you get into this, and you're like, yeah, I want to play arenas, and I want to tour bus. What would that be like to be at that level and hang out around other famous people? And anybody that says they don't think about that shit is a fucking liar,
Exactly.
I thought about it all the time, and now to be here, it was like, it's just kind of, it was a weird moment.
What color was the car?
Car, it is white with black interior.
So what's the next goal? If you've reached...
I think it's just that now it's just to take care of all the people around me, to have fun, set myself up. I really want to create something that's more than just, I want to set up shop, I guess you could say, in Detroit. I want to get some land and create a big amusement park type house, like
It's
some
Rockland.
fucking Elvis shit, and a studio where my bands can come record. It's not just a studio, but we got hidden bookcases and whirlpools and green rooms and shit, and just fun shit. I want to have fun. That's I just want to have fun and not hurt anybody, and all the people around me have a good time, and not have to worry about things. Just work hard and have a good time.
You have seen the money.
It took him a little time, but Bob Ritchie is now in a position to do whatever he likes. Kid Rock's music has survived hostile reactions, has survived being largely ignored for years, and has finally achieved cult status into double platinum sales. In the freewheeling sonic world of Kid Rock, absolutely anything is possible.